Welcome to SunScream, a spooky evenings production. Tonight, Clay McLeod Chapman, the author of Whisper Down the Lane and The Remaking. Upcoming projects include Unknown, a psychological horror anthology series co-created by filmmaker Craig William McNeil, produced by Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy at Kilter Films and Amazon Studios. Welcome, Clay McLeod Chapman. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, my guest is Clay McLeod Chapman. Welcome, Clay.
Thanks for having me.
All those alliterative C's in your name.
I have a problem actually. Like I write far too many alliterations in my stuff. So my editor is always like cutting through the thatch. So I appreciate you acknowledging that it's in my very kind of like in the DNA. So it's I was born with it.
Yeah. And you use the middle name.
I do. There's like a minor league baseball player in Florida. I think there's like a preacher in North Carolina. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's I got it when I was born with it. And like I don't know. I feel like there's so little that separates me from the rest of the world that like I want that middle name. I'll take
it. There's a relatively famous, very attractive footballer in England with my name.
Yeah.
So
if
you Google Matthew
one another often, like, will you be like, you'll throw your name out there and be like, oh, are you the
no? But yeah, I mean, he's I believe 3 years younger than me, but he also posed like, semi-nude for I don't know, some magazine in England.
Oh man, that must have been a fun day on Twitter for you.
It was like, 'cause when I graduated from grad school, I thought about doing there's a very pretentious art history thing that some people do, and they use their first two initials and then their last name. So I could have been M.W. Jarvis.
Yeah.
And so my dissertation is under M.W. Jarvis because I thought maybe that's what I would do, but I quickly dropped that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think middle names, I guess I should say for my middle name, it kind of, I think of it as like my name is a pyramid. And if it was just Clay Chapman, it just feels very like, mwah. Like there's just something very kind of like flat about it. But Clay McLeod Chapman, like there suddenly feels to be like a peak to it. And I don't know, there's like something slightly muscular to the name.
You could have done like the Halston thing and just use McLeod.
Good. I don't know. This is embarrassing. And just because you said before that you were from Virginia, I'm from Richmond, and there was a theater critic who I won this playwriting contest when I was like really young. And a part of it was that I got interviewed by the local newspaper, and this theater critic, as he's interviewing me, he was like, "So what should I call you?" And I said, "Clay McLeod Chapman." And he was like, "I'm not going to do that because it just takes up too much space on the marquee." And I was like 13 or 14 or something. And like, I was like, "Oh, screw you, man." It really irked me so much that like he was telling me that he was choosing not to like use my name. And I think like from that moment forward, like there was just this thing in my psyche where I just said to myself, like, I'm going to use my gosh darn name the way I want to from here on out. And like, if you don't hear the McLeod, it wasn't from me. So like it's like, this is all I have. This is my name. I need to like have that be the foundation, the baseline.
Sounds like the end of the crucible here with "It's my name."
As I'm walked off to the stockades,
which is a pretty apt.
Is he? All comes full circle.
All right? You and John Proctor just.
Oh man.
So before we dive into the book, you're from Virginia. I'm from Virginia. We have a Virginia moment. I feel like, a moment of When did you grow up in Richmond? Like, what was the time period?
I was born in Roanoke, and I lived
Okay.
in Roanoke for like until like five,
Giving you a
six.
Charles Dickens moment here, right? With David Copperfield. I was
Best
born.
of days, the worst of days. Um, but I moved to Richmond at age 6.
Okay.
And I was there pretty much, on the south side, across the James River for up until like my junior year of high school. I mean, Richmond was home. Like, I loved Richmond. I love Virginia. That's kind of where that's my default kind of, if I'm writing something, it just has to be set in Virginia, because that's what I remember. And I haven't even lived there for over 20 years now. But yeah, Richmond was home until probably like 17, 18.
Okay. So when you moved into North Carolina,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is not dissimilar.
No. I went to this wacky there's this NCSA, North Carolina School of the Arts. They have a theater program. It's an art conservatory, 4-year program. But they take high school students who want to abandon their regular high school. So I left. I jumped ship and dropped out and moved to North Carolina to go to NCSA for a year, and promptly, pretty quickly learned that I was a terrible theater person. So yeah.
Were you doing performance or writing?
Uh, I mean, I was always doing writing on my own accord. That was just kind of the thing that I did. Like, that was just my kind of, I don't know, like I was just always writing. But I felt like acting was kind of not a career choice, but it had a there was like this, like, oh, go to this theater school, you can learn acting. And so I was like, I'll do that. And then I got there and I was like, oh wow, you live it, you breathe it, you sleep it, you date it, like this is what you do. And I learned pretty pretty quickly that I was a pretty crappy actor. But I was still writing. Yeah. But I totally,
you have a performance thing you do too, right? Or do you not do
I,
that
I,
anymore?
I have a shtick. I have a, to be honest, like, I'm just hammy, and any opportunity to kind of like do stuff, like I'll do it. And I have kind of ossified any shtick into my system. So like, there's very little training. Like, I've just kind of like, all of my bad habits have just kind of like solidified themselves into my system. So I can't get cast in anything. I can't, anytime anyone wants me to do something for them, like, I do a very poor job of it. But I've been able to kind of like carve this very niche kind of like, I can do this thing. And that's just like, be a little weird, be a little crazy, be a little stupid, and be a little like scary, gross. And yeah, I just kind of write these weird monologue-y things that are, short stories to the publishing people and performance pieces for the theater people. But it's the same text. It's a kind of, I have this duality of text where I can kind of publish a first person narrative, but get an actor behind it, and it becomes shake and bake theater.
Okay. I mean, because you have a typewriter on your T-shirt right now, right? So
I do. This is to have another Virginia moment. This is my James River Writers shirt. I didn't plan it, I swear, but yeah. James River Writers, Richmond, Virginia. Come on.
Whenever somebody says Richmond to me, I think Bev's ice cream. Like, that's the
Carytown.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the first thing that pops into my mind is the espresso Oreo ice cream at Bev's, and then the
It's
bird
really
theater.
good. But then you have to go to Chop Suey Books. You have to go to the Bird Theater across the street. I mean, that's like the block right there. So
yeah, I mean, we used to do the midnight movie all the time at the Bird.
Oh man, that was see, now we can just kind of like wax,
right? Just not talk about the book at all. Just talk about living in Virginia.
what book are we talking about? Yeah. You asked me before, and I totally skipped, jumped the gun. But I grew up in Richmond, in the 80s.
Yeah.
I was born in the 70s, but like I hit that like that Spielbergian lens flare kind of period right at my childhood. So like I had the bike, the dirt bike. I like me and my friends like raced through the suburbs of our, you know, our neighborhood. No alien in the front basket, but that was my upbringing.
So, I mean, because I grew up in a really small area. I mean, I grew up in a coastal town
What
in
was the name of it again?
Chincoteague.
That I've never. I
There's a book. There's actually a series of books about it, about a horse.
really.
Yeah.
What's the
And a
series
movie.
called?
Huh?
What's the series called?
Misty of Chincoteague.
Obviously.
What else would it be called?
Was the movie called Misty of Chincoteague too?
Yeah.
Get out! Really?
And it was filmed on location.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Um,
It's about the firemen's carnival because they sell horses at it, and there's wild horses on the beach because of a Spanish galleon wrecking there in the 18th
wow,
century.
that's wild.
Yeah, literally.
um, I'm gonna have to. You're giving me all this homework to do. Like I need
Well,
to.
I'll tell you, I mean, like we used to always joke that it was like, you know, because you're talking about your Spielbergian childhood, we used to joke that it was a cross between Jaws and It in
Wow.
terms of what the town was like.
God, I can see that movie now.
Yeah.
Do you go back?
My mother is always afraid I'll write something horrible about my hometown. She still lives there.
Yeah.
And I constantly, I came up with the perfect title for it, so I'm sure this will now be stolen. The title of the book would be Misty Died and Was Stuffed. Because she was taxidermied.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and the horse is still there, like in this weird like gift shop, and like I'm just like, what a great metaphor for this. Whenever I go home, I think that.
So
So that
you
would
go
be my
back.
horror book that I've yet to write. Misty died and was stuffed.
That's amazing.
That's a pretty good title.
I would read that book.
But it would have nothing to do. It would like be kind of like what you do, like this almost like a historical fiction kind of setup of just like my memories, but like twisted with, because I mean there was like when I was a kid, there was like a murder in the town, like, and that actually because you were talking in your book, you know, you got the made for TV movie based on the kid's life. This happened. There's like a made for TV A&E thing about this murder that happened when I was a kid in this small town.
Wait, there's been two movies based
Oh,
on.
one's like an A&E like hour long thing.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Was it like one of those like cold case unsolved?
No, I mean it was all pretty. I mean it was a local guy. It's the Tessa Van Hart murder.
Man.
But we used to play on these trails behind my grandparents' house, and actually, because we like cut down trees and stuff back there, and
Yeah.
actually the guy used those trails to escape where he murdered. I'm like, did we help? You know,
How have you not written about this, man? This is amazing. This is like
yeah, I should.
better fast. You're giving the pearls away here.
Well,
Like,
I mean, I lived it, so you're not gonna.
oh man.
So I mean, we really did have like this weird, like it, you know, kind of weird losers club kind of thing that was around a murder that happened. And then because my friend Drew and I used to ride our bikes, and you know, we would always joke, clown was always the thing we would say, you know, just waiting for one to pop out from behind a bush on the beach or something.
That's amazing.
But
Wow.
I mean, it's like the Jaws part comes because, you know, it's very dependent upon the summer. The economy there is very tourist driven, and much more so today than it was when I was a kid. And like especially when COVID happened, because I was actually quasi trapped there last spring, and I was more descending into Lovecraftian madness. And you know, it felt like that Jaws thing of like, there's nothing in the water, it's fine.
Oh man. This sounds, I mean, like I will get off this horse, I swear. But like
Horse.
I feel like this is the stuff of novels. This is what you want to write about. Like if you don't, my wheels are.
Or maybe we should team up, man.
Hey man, I think there's always that, like, what you working on next. So
Yeah. Hey. And there's already a precedent for movies being made about it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And if they film on location, even better, right?
I know, because I already have a place I could stay.
Pump up the local economy, get people staying in the hotels.
Yeah.
We shot this film here. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Gotta happen.
Like a Lovecraftian Jaws It. I mean, what more could you really want? Like that's like ultimate horror right there. And it was really just my childhood.
That's where the best scary stuff comes from, frankly.
The trauma of one's childhood.
Yeah.
I feel like the audience has now learned much more about me than we have about you, because I think on all these episodes, I actually think that's probably the most I've revealed about myself.
Really?
Yeah.
See, we're turning it around. This is, you asked me here to actually interview you.
Yeah,
so
it was all a ruse. Like, you've already peaked. You had Elijah Wood interview you, so now you're stuck with me.
No, I think if anything, it's good to know that, like, what is it, I'm thinking of the couch, the psychiatric couch, where you sit on it, like, it can kind of, it goes both ways. So now your students will know what's hiding behind every grade, every kind of assessment report. They'll be like, this goes back to his childhood, I think.
The lurking fear is really about grading. So you mentioned, I was a kid in the 80s. I was not like I think you were probably a more fully formed kid in the 80s than I was, because I peaked at 6 in the 80s. So you probably had a lot more freedom to mill about than I did in the 80s. But I have the nostalgia in my blood, I feel like.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the word LARPing earlier, so I got to, and D&D pops up quite a lot in the book.
Yeah.
How big of a nerd were you as a kid?
I mean, the truth is that, like, I couldn't play sports, couldn't play a musical instrument, failed a lot of classes. Like, I was not a model student. So it's not even so much, and this is like pre-geekdom, pre-nerd. Like, it was the, like, Revenge of the Nerds nerd.
Yeah,
Like,
it's more like prime nerd, not.
Yeah. There was no badge to it. There was no, like, it was actually
Yeah.
something to be like, people would shun you for any perceived nerdom. So I felt like I was kind of marginalized in this sense, where, like, I just didn't fit in. Like, I was the weird kid. Like, I think that's a different thing than a nerd. Like, I think,
well, I didn't know if, like, did you play D&D?
I didn't play D&D. I came to D&D much later.
Okay. So you play it now?
On occasion. I have 2 sons, and one of them, my oldest, loves D&D. So it's kind of allowed me to kind of actually play it in all earnestness, which I never really did when I was younger. But it's funny because, like, I wasn't necessarily allowed to, like, D&D was definitely like one of those things where it was like, there was that made for TV movie, Mazes and Monsters.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, one of his first films. And I hit that spot where it was like, that's not something you want to tell people you do.
I remember, like, the evil that was when I was a kid too, just that was circulated around.
Yeah.
That area of the bookstore that had the books.
God. And you would pick one up and it would have, like, the pictures of, like, the floating eyeballs and the like wizards.
It was like old Conan stuff, essentially.
Wow. Oh my God. It was it's beautiful stuff. But yeah, it was not, it wasn't so much that it wasn't allowed in our house as much as it just wasn't something that, like, came, it never made its way through the front door.
See, I tell students, I was like, growing up, and you probably can relate to this too, they're like these 2 forbidden areas of the mall, and they're not what you think they were. That was that section in the bookstore that had the role-playing games, and then Hot Topic. Your grandmother would warn you about, because Hot Topic is so different now
Yeah.
than when we were in our prime.
I thought you were gonna say like Auntie Anne's pretzel shop or something, but yeah.
Well, because Hot Topic used like the gates of hell with
we
like
had,
weird leather stuff in the window and stuff.
yeah, we had Spencer's Gifts.
Yeah, Spencer's.
Spencer's was like the kind of like, because there was always the like slight like this is where you buy the bachelorette party gifts, or the like, the kind of like the things that are sexual but quirky
Yeah,
like if you wanted a, I don't know if we're allowed to say it, but like
you can say penis hat. It's fine.
penis hats, and it was just
We were discussing kildos the last time, so
oh, whoa.
I don't know if you've seen the movie Satanic Panic, but there is a kildo in it.
Yes. Grady, you beat me to it.
He was disappointed with how it turned out, if that makes you feel any better.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
I mean, as far as kildos go, like that was a pretty...
Yeah, I mean, it's a giant drill bit on your crotch. What's it gonna look like? Have you seen Iron? I forget what it's TSET, huh?
Yeah, Tetsuo.
Yeah, he has that problem too. This is a little bit more visceral.
Yeah. Oh my God. The Iron Man. I haven't seen that one in a long time too. There's two of them too. Tetsuo 2. Yeah.
That one's like
Spencer's. No going to Spencer's.
Yeah, we were allowed to go to Spencer's. It was definitely Hot Topic and its super punk goth phase. not when it started selling Funko Pops and supernatural gear. What was that?
Fire alarm.
We were talking about D&D.
Yes.
We're back. We're talking about D&D. Sorry for the interruption, ladies and gentlemen. However Juan chooses to edit this. So what we were saying about D&D. You didn't play D&D. You play D&D now with your kids on occasion.
Yeah.
We were talking about the forbidden nature of Hot Topic and bookstores and Auntie Anne's pretzels. Have you played like in contemporary games like this, these RPGs, like games like Mansions of Madness or Arkham Horror?
Man, I kept pretty clear of the RPGs and the LARPing. I erred on the side of like, I'm an only child, and I came home and my mother, I'm coming from also a single parent family. My mother kind of raised me primarily on her own for years and years. But she would work, and she was a craftsman. She made pottery for a living. And so I would come home and she'd be working, and I would sit in front of the TV. So, He-Man, Smurfs, G.I. Joe, Transformers, like that was kind of those were my babysitters.
I was expecting some Skeletor thing in your room, I have to tell you. I'm a little sad.
Oh my God. Well, I will. There's a skeleton right over there, which when the time comes, we can just do it now.
We're comparing skeletons now. Nice.
That's my skeleton.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Every
office needs a skeleton. I mean,
do you live in New York now? Is that where you're living now?
I do. I live in Brooklyn, Ditmas Park, Brooklyn.
So you've done the real thing, which is we're talking about nerdiness. Nerds are now just hipsters, and it's actually cool to be in these nerdy things, and because you're a true hipster, right? Because you were a nerd before it was cool to be a nerd in some ways.
I took all of a sudden I was like, oh, was I a hipster? I
mean, you are, right? You're in Brooklyn wearing a typewriter shirt from the James River. Come on, dude.
Yeah, I have my beard.
I'm just waiting for you to have like a kale smoothie and that you grew in your window box.
I would have, if you offered me a kale smoothie right now, I would drink the hell out of it.
You're like, oh my God, I'm so accused right now.
No, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's the affectation of hipsterness where it's just like,
yeah, you're not a performative hipster, you're just a real one. Maybe that's like nerd. It's like the pejorative of it in its authenticity.
I But isn't that like if you were a nerd, or if you were a genuine nerd, you never, it's like you either grow up to avenge your nerdom, and you grow up to be Steve Jobs and you're like, I'll show them all. Or you just have that weird, I'm kind of caught in a kind of self-conscious echo chamber where, like, you say you're a hipster, and all of a sudden, like, it's such a knee-jerk reaction where I'll just be like, what, me? No, like, it's like this, like, I can't stop, like, being like, no, I'm not, no, like, it's a
I don't
weird.
make my own soap. I mean, maybe you do. I don't know. Do you make your own soap, Clay?
Do not make my own soap.
Okay. Okay. I think we saved you.
I do not.
But you have some. I will say, in
McLeod
Whisper, you do bring like the hipster chic to bear upon this town in Virginia.
Yeah. Well, I was a big, like, IRA 11 was a big kind of influence on this book, and I was thinking of Stepford Wives.
Yeah.
Thinking about like how, like, what would be the kind of modern twist on Stepford, and for me, I was just thinking about, like, oh, you have all of these, like, old forgotten blue collar Southern towns. I mean, anywhere in any state. And, there's like like an infusion of commerce, or an infusion of gentrification that, like, kind of wants to go back to what these places looked like decades ago, but they sand them down and kind of polish the.
Well, yeah, I mean, you use the word Disneyfication, and I think that's correct, because it's also not a true return or restoration. It's what you thought that should be.
It's a total layer. It's total artifice, and that, to me, is the kind of Stepford wiving of these small towns, where it's like you don't actually want the idea. All you want is the identity. You don't want what is inside or kind of beneath that surface. You just want the veneer of small town USA, but you want it with your kombucha, you want it with your, farmer's market. And, like, I don't know, I should tread carefully, because I do, I go to the farmer's market along with the other hipsters here in Brooklyn. But it strikes me as being a very kind of, like, in the book, I wanted to kind of get at, like, you can't trust that surface. You can't trust.
Oh, sure.
It's just another mask, another kind of, like, veneer. And that, to me, played into the themes that the book was getting into, in this kind of, like, unconscious, self-conscious nod to Mr. Levin and his great works.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you were talking about, is it thriller or is it horror? I mean, I think that's one of the big horror tropes, right? A small town and the surface cracking, even the slightest, right, reveals awful things through those cracks.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's a trope. Like, you go to, like, someone moves to the small town, like, it's usually like a family gets out of the city and they move to the small town, and it's like, everybody's so welcoming here and so loving and so understanding, but wait, there's something underneath the surface, and it's like,
or the stranger comes to the small town.
That's right. Very needful things of you there.
Or Salem's Lot, or
or just all of Stephen King.
Yeah, most Stephen King, the evil comes to you. It has been somewhere else for a little while, now it's come to you, unless you're in, like, Derry or Castle Rock or somewhere.
You unearth that extraterrestrial spacecraft, and it's.
You'd figure at some point people would just be like, we should probably just not live in Castle Rock. A lot of things happen here.
Yeah, it's like
in Lovecraft, we should just leave Arkham. It's not a good place.
That's the t-shirt of Arkham U. Like, I made it. I
Miskatonic.
Yeah, Miskatonic. That's it. Yeah. I don't know.
Arkham used the state school in Arkham.
It's in what?
I was making a bad joke. I was saying Arkham U is the state school that's in Arkham versus Miskatonic, which is more like I went to state schools for all my education. So
Miskatonic was Lovecraft's, but didn't somebody do an Arkham U?
I mean, probably there's a new Arkham County kind of podcast thing that Stanley Tucci is doing.
Wow. Okay. I feel like it seems like a no-brainer. Someone's bound to have done it, but Miskatonic, like there's the joke in, everybody wears the Arkham U, Arkham College, Arkham University.
It's Miskatonic University. I don't know about Arkham.
There has to be an Arkham U.
Maybe. Like I said, it's the state school. It's like when you go to Ithaca, right? You got Ithaca College and Cornell University.
Always duking it out. Oh man.
Or if you're in Boston, right?
The Arkham Octopuses versus the
Arkham Octopuses
versus the
Miskatonic Unnameables.
Yeah.
Were you like when because you had this we look at it now from 2020, right, as this teleology of like, did you have this like horror growing up? You talk about like watching He-Man and stuff, but did you read the stuff? Were you a consumer?
Yeah. Oh, very much so. How did it go for me? I found Stephen King in 7th grade.
Okay.
And it was his short story collections, Skeleton Crew and Graveyard Shift. Those were the two. Those were fundamental texts. Like those changed my life.
So you came across the more supernatural Stephen King first. I mean, because there are two. There's like the non-supernatural, almost like crime Stephen King as well.
I mean, there was, well, I guess like what, 4 Past Midnight was his anthology collection, and that had The Body. Did that have Shawshank in it? I think it did. Maybe. I
haven't read Stephen King in a long. My first one was actually The Green Mile.
Really? Wow.
Well, I was like in 5th grade and read The Green Mile because they were like these little short.
Yeah,
they were like page. Yeah.
The
way to make the most money.
Because
everybody was buying them. Everybody was reading The Green Mile. So even but I was a weird kid. I read Midnight, The Garden of Good and Evil, like 7th grade.
Wow.
I should not have been reading that in 7th grade.
That's like the precursor to true crime. That was like the true crime, like before true crime became true crime.
Yeah, I mean, well, the first one obviously is In Cold Blood.
Yeah. But I feel like Midnight in the Garden of Good, like that had like a kind of salaciousness. Like it was like
oh yeah,
luridness to it. Like it was
another
like,
Kevin Spacey movie.
What is it with Kevin Spacey?
I don't know. He's haunting us like a predatory specter of maybe he has a satanic cult.
He lasted long enough to have made some deal with the devil.
Yeah. Have you ever seen this is a little bit off topic, but we're doing so well with topics today.
Or is it hot?
Seen the Robert Altman film Secret Honor?
No.
It's about Nixon. It's a monologue. The entire movie is a monologue. And like
who performs it? Do you know?
Oh geez.
Secret Honor.
Yeah, Secret Honor. And but the whole thing, because he's drinking the whole time, and it's like post-presidency, and he like gets in a screaming match with a portrait of Henry Kissinger and stuff. It's just what you want it to be. But the reason I bring it up is like he goes on this monologue about like this secret cult in California that rose him to power and things.
Oh my god. Secret Honor. I have to watch this now.
And it's from the 80s.
That's amazing.
So now I'm thinking about it in terms of like the satanic panic and talking about it, because I never thought about it that way until like this moment.
Wow. Okay.
So maybe it's actually a horror movie and I wasn't looking at it that way.
I have to find it. Because growing up, I do remember being very influenced by Spalding Gray, Danny Hawk. Spalding Gray was amazing because his theatrical performances were filmed by people like Jonathan Demme, Steven Soderbergh. But they would be like monologues at a, very kind of
a
like,
desk and maps and
yeah.
things.
But like, I remember those, and those were the 80s and 90s. And it was like, oh my God, this, like, how would this young Virginia kid even know about these like off Broadway performances at like the Kitchen or PS 122, these things that were happening in New York City, but they felt like, watching these movies, and even something like Stop Making Sense with the Talking Heads film, like these films were just great ways to kind of get exposed to art and music that I would never like. I would never go to that concert or be allowed to see that show or have, it's like it just never came to us in Richmond. Not at that point, So I just remember like renting a VHS copy of Monster in a Box. There was two of them. There was Monster in a Box and Swimming to Cambodia. Those are the two, Spalding Gray films that were like benchmark. And I know there was one before and several after, but like those were the two. Yeah. Oh my God. But you're saying Robert Altman directed a one-person performance.
Yeah.
Secret Honor.
Secret Honor.
Okay, I'm gonna hunt this down.
Yeah. If you have the Criterion channel, it's on the Criterion channel.
Oh my God. All right, I gotta find it.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's just like, wow. Well, the other weird thing, because when I was at William and Mary, Henry Kissinger was the chancellor of William and Mary when I was
there. And what did you do?
I saw him the one time. His signature's on my diploma.
Wow.
I also, because when I was in grad school, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor. So like my PhD has Arnold Schwarzenegger's signature on it.
Going through the list.
It's just such a weird, like they're not on display. They're on my closet at home, but like just like a weird, like there's Kissinger. There these weird signatures I have.
So
the most schizophrenic autograph collection in history.
You're educated.
So where I want to start at the beginning, literally, where does the title of the book come from?
Oh man. Well, it's funny. I mean, Whisper Down the Lane is basically another riff off of the old telephone game. So
they play the game.
Yeah. I mean, like there's the game Telephone, and Whisper Down the Lane is just another. It's just the same game, but I think maybe it's more of a European version of it, an Anglophiled version of it, I guess. When I played it as a kid, it was called Telephone. But Whisper Down the Lane feels very like...
It does.
It makes me think of, what is that Jodie Foster movie? The Girl Down the Road, The Girl Down the Lane, whatever. Horror film from the 70s. But or all the boys love Mandy Lane. Like, I don't know, like this Whisper Down the Lane, like it has a like you could almost believe it was one of those like pulpy paperbacks from the 70s with a title like that. But it when I first started writing the book, we called it Satanic Panic, just because that was what the book was about.
Sure.
And
you're like, there's so many things called Satanic Panic, I can't call it that.
Yeah. And this was kind of like just pre-Grady Satanic Panic, but he kind of knocked it out. So it was like, okay, well, we definitely can't call it that.
See, nobody has taken up the mantle of inverting it and doing the other play, which would be Panic at the Satanism.
Oh God.
Would that be too exploitative of current pop cultural trends?
I wonder if it would have any longevity. Would anyone know? Would they get it? But you know what I really wanted to call it was The Traumatist, because in my research, the name that was given to the therapists and the psychology, like the people who were kind of responsible for interviewing the children
Yeah.
in the Satanic Panic period, they were called traumatists. And when I read that, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, because it sounds like The Exorcist. It says trauma, and it's got a like it was just like the traumatist. Like it was just like so like and it kind of heightened a particular character's role within it. Like if it was like, you know, Father Merrin from The Exorcist, like you kind of get to him later in the book.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, but it's called The Exorcist. So it's like you think it's gonna be like he's gonna be like some superhero who just is there, but he doesn't come in until much, much later.
well, because it's about the other priest.
Yeah, yeah. And so like I thought like this is the title, guys. Like I was like going to the publisher and it's like, we're gonna call this The Traumatist.
And they're like,
And
no.
and they were like, nope, nope, nope. I was like, but it sounds so awesome, and it sounds kind of like The Exorcist, and it sounds like there's like something like no book has ever been called The Traumatist. And they were just like, what the hell is that? And, my editor was just like,
You could go like with The Death of Professor Howdy.
yeah. But Whisper Down the Lane, and
Yeah.
and Whisper Down the Lane totally grew on me really quickly, because it had that like you can hear with the movie version of this, like Mia Farrow will be doing the kind of like opening soundtrack kind of like la 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 la, like it just has that kind of gauzy quality to it. Whisper down the lane, like it, I don't know, like it just feels like I can see that, like that weird like like
A
it'll
weird moment. So in the book, this is, I mean, we will have spoilers today, ladies and gentlemen. That was smooth. I had like a fever dream moment with the book, and I was like, this would have been a great secondary title for a book no one would ever buy. But it's a line in the book where you say, "A pile of possums."
Oh my God. Oh yeah.
Like I want to read a pile of possums.
Pile of possums. It's kind of like a murder of crows. A pile
Yeah.
of possums. What are multiple possums?
I don't know. I don't know. But you have that moment when he finds them. And he's like a pile of possums.
That's my alliteration. That's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Like it's like I can't, like if there's a word in a word, I will, if they have the same letter, I will just murder it. I will pee pile of possums. Like I just can't.
Yeah. But when I heard it, in my mind, it just got like, yeah, that's what this is. This is a pile of possums.
Possums. Oh man, that's a fun part of the book too. Thank you for bringing that up. You know, this book has been out for a month now, and I've never, no one ever talks to me about the pile of possums.
Why not? It's such a weird, creepy moment. It's such like a red herring.
Oh man, I appreciate it. That makes.
I mean, you, sir, have quite a lot of red herrings in your book.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was starting to get paranoid.
I mean, the jury is out. It's so funny how you like, you know, some people read it and they're like, oh, I knew from the get-go it was that person all along. And
yeah, those people are usually liars. So.
I mean, like, I don't know if I mean, like, yeah, there are a lot.
I thought it was his wife. I will say, I thought it was his wife for the longest time.
Maybe it is. Spoiler alert.
I already said there'd be a spoiler.
So yeah, let's have the comment. Anything from here on is just spoilers.
We're wallowing in spoilers like a pile of possums.
Like a pile of possums. I mean, like, for me, I mean, there the like there's like reveals that aren't necessarily reveals. Like,
yeah.
You have, like, I think like if the whole book is basically like lies, it's just lies. That's the thing. Like, none of these narrators tell the truth until they're confronted with it. So,
but then they still don't, or they ignore it.
I mean, it's just willful deniability, right? But I think that's, you know, So twists or like, like like red herrings, it's just denial. It's like, nope, I don't, so when everybody kind of pulls off the mask, or it's like, I'm this person, or it was me, it's
It's
because
not like Scooby-Doo.
I wish I feel like, I did want that, like the dun dun dun.
Well, I
Not
mean,
the,
structurally, I think it's kind of like the movie Old Boy.
wow, really?
Yeah,
Dude, tell.
it moves like that. I mean,
Wow.
especially as it develops. Once you hit the scene in the police station,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like it starts. The energy of it changes, and the speed changes,
yeah,
and it becomes. The dialogue in that is just it echoes the traumatist in terms of like coaching him into answers and
yeah,
making him believe things in some ways
yeah,
that he doesn't that aren't true. Because he starts start questioning himself. I mean, it's like a Twilight Zone kind of moment to it, and then he goes and he's with his wife, and then it continues and continues. And like I was telling Juan before we came on the air, like you know I wasn't even sure what time of day it was at this point, because like
he was gone. He was so
yeah, because I
far
mean you say he
gone.
was in there for 8 hours. It was like, is it 11 o'clock at night? Is it
Yeah,
morning? And they're at the farmer's market. Like, is any of it really happening?
yeah,
uh
that's awesome. That's exactly, yes, yes. um it's
and then he
funny
runs
because,
into her ex-husband.
oh
So
god,
cruel of you, so cruel.
yeah, oh my god. um it's funny that you mentioned the interrogation, because uh the best novel that I personally have ever read that deals with uh, interrogations, leading interrogations, is Lush Life by Richard Price.
Okay.
It's an amazing book, and it's so pure, it's so simple, and yet it's so complex at the same time. Like I love that book, and he did such an amazing job of like showing you the coercion of these police interrogations. Um, so like that, this is my poor man's version of Lush Life, but even more to the point, there's this amazing book, and I'm going to totally murder the title. Remembering Satan, I think it is, and it's got a longer subtitle, but it's by an author, and it's a nonfiction book, by Lawrence Wright. I hope that's right, Lawrence Wright, Remembering Satan. And it speaks specifically about a family where there is dad is a retired police officer, two daughters, very up, moral, religious upbringing, like very kind of tight moralistic family. But then one of the daughters, the two girls are now in high school, and one of the daughters basically like has this memory where she says, oh, my dad did all this terrible stuff to us when we were kids. And so the police get involved, the police come to the dad, and they're like, hey, we have to follow up on this. And the father, retired police officer, comes in, he's like, well, you got to do your job, so let's do this. And so they bring him in for questioning. And so they're like, your daughter is telling us that this is what happened when to her as a child, that you were responsible for. And this father is like, well, I raised my children right, and I raised them to be good and moral and to tell the truth. So if they are saying it, you have to do your job and do due diligence and see what you can uncover. And they're like, okay. And they like keep going and going and going until like, and the lies, the narrative, the story just unfolds and folds and folds. And so they keep interrogating him, being like, did you do this? Did you do this? And he's like, you know what? Let me go to my cell and I'll pray on it. And so he goes back to his, has been arrested. He prays on it, thinks on it, and then comes back for the next kind of interrogation. And he's like, you know what? She's right. This did happen. I prayed on it, and now I remember. And it's the daughter's, whatever the daughter's narrative is feeding into the interrogation. The officers leading the interrogation are leading the father. The father, thinks about it until he remembers it, and then comes back and confesses it. And it creates this loophole. And this is a nonfiction book. This is that really happened. And when I read that book, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But what it fed into in terms of Whisper Down the Lane is this idea that, like, if this particular character, Sean, who was led by the traumatists, the therapists, the interviewers, what is the adult correlative to that? What's the parallel to that? And it's Richard, the character of Richard, being interrogated by these police officers, these detectives. And you see that it's the kind of funhouse mirror version of what happened to Sean as a child and to Richard as an adult, where, like, they're feeding narratives, and they can push these interview subjects in whatever direction they want. And it's like, we want you to say this is our agenda. So for Richard in those police interrogation scenes, I totally wanted it to be like, maybe I did do that, maybe, and like that sets him off. That's like, you're off to the races then. So like for the rest of the book, to me, it's just like, did you ever see Roman Polanski's The Tenant?
Yes.
Oh, when he has his big freak out at the end, and he, like, spoiler, jumps out the window of his apartment.
If people haven't seen that by now, that's been out for 40 years.
But like that whole thing where he's like, he sees like all of his, neighbors are just monsters and demons with like forked tongues, and like I wanted that. Like that was what I was totally like, let's look at this through the fisheye lens of someone's perspective that's just like completely askew, where time doesn't exist. There's no air, there's no oxygen. It's just like, it's all like closing in on them.
And it has like, you were talking about cinematic qualities of things. Like it does have that kind of old school, like Rebecca, I think of in that way too, like where it's happening to you, but nobody else sees that it's happening to you, but also because you're just not bothering to tell anybody. He could have saved himself so many times.
Yeah, but like, he's implicated, he's guilty, and like,
in a way, I mean,
yeah, but like, he doesn't know that, like, in a way.
But I mean, he makes when you're reading it, you're like, you're making the wrong choice.
Everybody makes the wrong choice. Nobody makes the right choice. If you and I were at the fork in the road of like the right decision and the bad decision, we would make the bad decision because we assume that's the best. Who in this world makes the right call? Nobody does.
It's funny because we're talking about Grady. In Horror Store, right? You have all these like corporate speak things.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like that, like the corporate speak, you actually prove that the corporate speak is right, right in some ways, because if you did the corporate speak thing, you wouldn't have had the problems you have.
The sanitized, like, I'm speaking from a place of truth right now, and my honesty is saying, but like,
I hate those kind of people, though. I gotta tell you,
that's the thing, like. We're all liars at the end of the day. Like, we all have the versions of our story. I've been telling you my version of my upbringing, and like, it's a total, like, it's not that it's a lie, but it's just my perspective. It's my viewpoint. So like, it's inherently like, it's one step or two steps removed from fact because it's my point of view. And like, as soon as you start like writing a first person narrative, friggin' call me Ishmael, like, that's like, it would be a totally different story if it was Queequeg. Like it would be like
Sure. They call me quick.
like it would just not.
Not so big of a whale, maybe.
Yeah, he was like okay. He was
Yeah.
a little like
Third
awful.
biggest whale I ever saw.
But like
Like Pride and Prejudice and zombies, right?
yeah. I just feel like as soon as you get into point of view, it's
Yeah.
inherently
Well, that's I mean, we were talking about the narrator, right, being untrustworthy, but it's like, you know, Clay, you don't really tell us that till the very end, that everybody's just an untrustworthy narrator.
liars. But I mean, like you're with this kid and you're like, oh, this poor kid. And he tells a lie because he thinks that's what his mom wants to hear. And who hasn't done that?
I mean, I feel bad for Sean throughout, I have to say. Like that doesn't change for me.
I mean, like, but yeah, I mean, you should feel bad for him. And in turn, I think that means you should feel bad for Richard.
I don't feel as bad because Richard should know better.
But when
he should have learned the lessons because he literally lived through them.
I mean, if I was ever, it's funny, like, have I ever learned the right lessons from the things I've done wrong?
I mean, that's not even like the things he did wrong. It's just like core things like
I mean, like, it's funny, like, in that, what are the films? I don't know why I'm keep doing a cinematic reference point, but like,
I mean, it's a pretty cinematic book.
Yeah. Think of like all the movies, like North by Northwest or Vertigo, or none of these guys make the right choices.
Vertigo is just that's a whole other matter about Hitchcock's own psychosis.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like, but even like the bad versions of that, like we were talking about David Fincher, so like The Game, like I feel as if there's this idea of these kind of like male protagonists that are like presented with something from their past, and it's like, you did something wrong and now you will pay for it. It's like such a like those that is like such a well-worn trope. That Saw has been screeched.
Well, does he ever stop paying for it? I mean, you don't really leave us with an answer there.
I mean, well, no, but I would argue that who he is at the end of the book is just a hollow shell. Like you
definitely.
I mean, I feel like you have to acknowledge that Richard is not a person.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and he says as much.
Yeah.
I mean, he rejects the identity at the end.
Yeah. In that like Patrick Bateman kind of like.
Yeah. Well, peeling the mask off. Yeah. Great end line to a film there. This account has meant nothing.
Yeah. Frustrating book.
Yeah. I have questions. I'm trying to figure out where to start really in terms of the questions. Because two of my questions are really about Gina.
Okay.
Jenna, sorry.
Yeah.
Why does she sleep with him?
Why not? Like, I feel like, that's a kind of $1 million question. And any answer.
Oh, good. I'll wait for the check. It's
fine. I don't know if I have an answer. He
recognizes him immediately.
She does. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but yet she describes him as blackout drunk.
I mean, can you just imagine just being like the audacity of Richard in this moment where it's like, she immediately knows who he is and he has no idea who she is. Spoiler. Oh, this is nothing. This is all spoiler. So like, the level of hate of like just kind of pure, the kind of like the bile that would come from that. But
So
like,
hate sex is what you're
no, I mean, no, but like, how rare is it to be confronted with the one, like the kind of subject of all of your ire and
and they don't know who
everything.
you are.
Yeah, and like, and they have no idea who like, who are you? Oh, cool, you're just someone I'm meeting. Hi, pleased to meet you. You know, and I think like there's a certain kind of fascination, a certain kind of like, where will this go? How far can I take this? That, because we're in spoiler territory, that last letter, the
Yeah, I got a
last
question about that too.
okay, the last chapter of the book, I wrote that chapter, like it went on and on and on and on. It was the longest chapter
It's like
of
your
the
de
whole.
profundis.
I was just like, I mean, it was essentially kind of like her recounting every instant of like her life
Yeah.
leading up to this. So it wasn't a whole novel, but it was basically like, here, let me tell you my story. And in kind of working with my editor on it, she was like, let's pull back, like we don't need to go this far in. And like, we didn't want it to be mustache twirly, we didn't want it to be we didn't want it to be Kaiser Sose, we didn't want
Yeah.
it to be, like there were definitely in inherently, as a reveal, as a twist, there's going to inevitably be kind of like the Scooby-Doo mask moment, and I'll own that totally. But like, what I find fascinating is that for her in this moment, it would have been so easy for her to be like, I know who you are, I hate you, you ruined my life, F you, and like,
You can say
like,
fuck, it's fine. We say fuck here.
but just to like let it burn right there, like, you did this to me and my family, and and then that would have been that. But what was more engaging or fascinating or intriguing or alluring, or whatever that the impulse was, the impetus was for Jenna, it had to do with his not knowing and her
Yeah.
acknowledging, you will never know who I am, I don't mean anything to you, and like, for me to hate you so much because you destroyed everything that I know and love, I this is, can I, if I stand in front of you long enough, will you remember? And he doesn't. And it's like, how far can we go? Like, can we take it to the next level? Like, and like, it just goes to the next level, the next level, the next level, until the next level ends up being sex. And that leads to something else.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's her escalation of like, what does this mean now? And who am I now? And what do I want now? And all of those things are, they're kind of done behind the scenes of this book. But it's like, all she wanted at the end of the day, in this kind of 2013 world, is to make Richard believe his own lies. And it's in that last, you mentioned the police interrogation scene, and everything about, like, from there on, of like, who am I? Did I do this? Oh my God, there are Satan worshipers. Oh my God, I'm being trapped. And this is like, they're out there and they're coming after me. Like, can Jenna make Richard believe his own BS? Can Jenna make him believe all of the lies that he told as a kid, and make him actually believe it? Believe that there's the devil out there, or that there's a ring of satanic devil worshipers like coming after him. And he gets there. Just like, it's like, just like all of the stuff just like right there. And then she's like, hi, it's me, I did it. And then he's like, and she's like, I got you to believe. And then mother humper, like, he just like, he's like, if he just read the letter, it would have been like, got you, middle finger, you're an idiot,
Well, I mean, the kid Eli confesses a lot to him.
yeah.
Um,
But
I mean,
there's like a
huh?
stare down there where they're just like, like, how much do you know? Well, how much do you know? Like,
Well,
what
he
do you,
says he knows that he read the letter, but he doesn't even care at that point.
because there's a complicity, and it's like, it's not that they stalemate each other as much as like like by Richard ripping up that letter at the end, he's essentially saying, whatever you know, fine with me. I will never mess with you. I will never come like, you are going down your own path, kid. And we're in this together. And I can keep a secret. I hope you can too. And the letter is the kind of like contract, we don't need
Yeah,
this.
I mean, and this is the old boy part to me. I mean, is that final secret,
Yeah.
but in this case it's denied. I mean, the other thing it does too, of course, it robs him of the absolute elation that he has when he uses the word dad. A couple times that is a first, and then as a reader you find out he actually is a biological dad, and he just never will actually know that he is,
Yeah.
unless Eli ever tells him.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's not even clear if Sandy knows.
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, she pretty much said she would never tell him who she was. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of weird that's, I mean, I get that they're young, but God, she like really turns her daughter into a weapon.
Oh man.
Like it's like
Does.
your whole life, it's like being Jigsaw's daughter, right? It's like we're gonna play games with people, Jesus.
I mean, it's hardcore, yeah, but like from the mouths of babes.
Yeah, I mean, it never really, never really went where I thought it was going to go. I will say that.
Where did you think,
I was, huh?
where did you think it was going to go?
I thought there was going to be a satanic cult.
Who's to say there wasn't?
Well,
Wow.
if they were,
They're
I
still
mean,
out there.
because that happens a lot too. Like, my advisor in grad school always said that the most deviant places were suburbia.
Yeah.
And if you remember, like a year ago, like there was this Airbnb that went up on Zillow for sale, and like it was in very high end suburbia, but like the basement was like a sex dungeon, and they had the pictures of the sex dungeon up on the for sale because it was an Airbnb and people liked to rent it because it had the sex dungeon, and like everybody was clutching their pearls, and it was like, yeah, suburbia. But that's what I was thinking. I mean, I was waiting for, like her to be like, I'm so terrible with names right now. His wife to be like a satanic priest, like, because all the tattoos. I mean, that was your biggest red herring, was all the tattoos, because you did talk about them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole thing. It was like, I feel like I wanted to front load obvious red herrings so that you would either get distracted by them. Like, it's like Tamara is, it's like, yeah, like she's like it's like obvious, like it's like witch, just say it, like she's a witch.
Well, she even talks about having a spell tattoo on her.
I know, I mean, and it's like, it's the kind of like, look over here, sucker punch, like, like I just,
because I was thinking of Angel Heart,
yes,
where he ends up actually being the son of the devil.
Oh my God, I love that movie.
But that was in my mind too, when you get like these allusions towards their sexuality. Like I would think of Angel Heart.
Yeah. Oh man, did you read that novel?
I didn't read the novel. I've only seen the film with De Niro and Mickey Rourke.
I would say this might be profane to admit, but I think the movie is better than the novel. So
I mean, that happens. We like horror blasphemy here.
I mean, it was great source material for an even better movie.
Yeah, I mean, because I thought of a lot of different movies while reading it. I mean, the ending reminded me of The Vanishing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally obsessed with The Vanishing.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, the car ride is so clearly like, I mean, pass me the thermos, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. I I didn't have him get in the trunk though.
Yeah, but I mean,
Mhm.
if you
But
want to
wait,
know what happened, which was funny because he in fact knew what happened.
wait, oh, you mean in the?
No, when you're in Whisper,
Oh yeah.
I mean, he actually accurately remembered what happened to his mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Um,
did Eli pull him out, or did he pull Eli out?
that's a very good question.
Thank you.
I, I mean, I think that there is the the like, this is what's going on official record, and then there's a certain, maybe that's not necessarily the truth, or not as much the truth as they are agreeing to say it.
I mean, for whatever reason, I just can't imagine Eli having the physical strength.
I mean, geez Louise, like just being in a car that's going under in of itself. I mean, I think it's like, I think there's a little bit of both going on. So
You know,
yeah.
I will say you have. I mean, you have this wonderful descriptive way with gash kind of moments in
Yeah.
here. There's a couple. I mean, you mentioned the two animals that perish. Um, but at one moment we were talking about Mr. Stitch's clothing, how it was gashed and the smell and things. And also like when his back rakes over the glass, it sort of has this
Oh,
similar, I mean, a very cringy moment.
wow.
You also do something because you know it's coming. You know he's about you for a long time. You know he's going to be accused of sexual abuse. Like it's the moment she sits down and says that, you know, or when he finds the Polaroids, you know it's coming.
Yeah.
And I have the thing that bothers me the most, oddly enough, after watching a ton of horror, is the anticipation of the awkward moment of that reveal.
Yeah.
Did you watch Downton Abbey of all things?
I watched the series.
Yeah.
The
So
movie.
if you remember, I forget his name. As I said, I'm terrible with names. When the gay butler is going up the stairs because he's been told the other guy is gay and isn't attracted to him, and he's walking up those stairs,
Yeah.
like just that anticipation of that moment.
Oh my God.
I actually had to pause it 3 times because I can't stand those moments of just, you know, something's going to be complete disaster.
Yeah.
And I'm fine when it gets to it. It's just I can't deal with that moment.
The like suspense.
Oh, it's not even suspense because I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just the level of saturated awkwardness that is occurring is just, well, I can't. And it's a me thing, I think, but it's not even cringy. It's just like I can't engage with it. And like I knew that it was one of the points I had to stop actually, because I knew it was coming. And I was just like, I've got to take a break because
Oh wow. Sorry.
that's all right. You know, other people will cringe at other things. That's what I cringe hard at. And it doesn't happen that often, I have to say. It's not a common device.
Wow.
Um,
The kind of delayed gratification of cringiness.
yeah, or whatever that is. I'm sure there's a German word for it.
Awkward.
So yeah, I mean, it is fascinating. I mean, and you get some wonderful set pieces this way too. You get, I mean, you said I was the only person who brought up the pile of possums. Now I feel like I need a bingo card of things I could potentially bring up that others have missed. Have I hit on any others so far?
I mean, I'll just go on record as saying this is one of the best conversations I've had about the book, because we're actually talking a lot about the book, like doing a deep dive, where I think a lot of podcast interviews and Zoom chats have all been very kind of like chaste in like how much they want to discuss. So at this point, I don't know if I care anymore.
I mean, I'm an academic, right? So I'm
I mean, I don't
in
know.
the weeds here.
I mean, whoever is watching this, like, I don't know if this makes them want to read it more or less, but like, at the end of the day, like, there's always the like, and what's the book about? And tell us, like,
Oh no, I mean, I'm doing this so when people have read the thing, they can come and watch our series and then hopefully get answers to questions I had.
oh my God. So yeah, I mean, like, this has been awesome. This is awesome because it's kind of like you're holding me to it, putting my feet to the coals, and like just
That's a good title too. Putting my feet to the coals.
putting my feet to the coals. The Clay McLeod Chapman story. No,
This is also a thank you and the acknowledgements. After we write our pony book.
Oh my God. I just feel like, yeah, most conversations have just been very much like, and then what's, like we kind of like gingerly like tiptoe around it, but like we're just talking about it. So
well, let me ask you another deep divey question then. I feel at least. Sean's mom illegally takes him from his father. Yeah, I mean, she outruns the police.
Yeah.
In a station wagon.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, there's.
What do you envision happening there? What was that story? Was it ever in the book or?
I mean, yes, it was funny because it was like they were flashback. It was like kind of like quasi dream-like flashbacks to dad. And a decision was made to take them out because it felt just like didn't need it at the end of the day. But it seemed as if there was this kind of like unseen, invisible force that they were escaping from, it always kind of put them on the run. And it would always have that kind of like looking over your back, kind of look over your shoulder vibe.
Well, because there's no male role models in this book.
No.
I mean, the one guy who potentially could be commits suicide.
Yeah. You want to talk pop psychology? Like that's like dads are tough, man. Like I think I didn't have any good. I had a very, very, like I was saying before, like my mom raised me.
Yeah.
And like I never met my dad. Never met my dad. And there was like one stepdad who was there for a very brief period. My grandfather was a really strong, positive male role model. But like, yeah, dads are, and now I am a dad, and it's like, oh man, being like, all like being a dad is it's a doozy. And I feel like writing this book now with two sons of my own, like I couldn't write this book 10 years ago. I couldn't write this book before I had kids. So, and it's not like I'm casting my kids in the book per se, but but there's a certain kind of like, what was great about writing this book now is that all the 80s stuff allowed me to kind of write about the things that scared me as a kid.
Sure.
And all the 2013 stuff allowed me to write about the stuff that scared me as an adult, as a dad, as a father. So like those like there's a certain kind of coming from a place of fear for both of those sections where I'm writing genuinely about the things that scare me.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, another thing that popped into mind while reading it is David Mamet's Oleana.
Oh, wow. It's funny, like Oleana, I feel like that was one of the last, I feel like if you are a Mamet apologist, you could advocate for him up until Oleana. I feel like Oleana is the beginning of the end, if not the end.
Okay.
Like I know there are people who like Oleana, but like I feel like it was like the first time where it's like, I'm an idea, I'm gonna argue, it's like the A-B kind of like are they characters? Here I am criticizing friggin' David Mamet, but
That's
like,
fine.
I mean, he would pee on me right now with his later day plays. But like, I don't know, like like I feel like Oleana was a tide shift, a sea change into later career Mamet that felt less what he is celebrated for. He was
No, I
just
mean, I don't mean it in that way. I meant just like
yeah.
being a teacher. That is a bizarre existential fear.
Yeah, totally.
You
I'm a
know,
teacher and can't be in a room alone. Leave the door open.
yeah, and the door needs to be open and all that stuff. You know, and you have those moments in there, and I can't even imagine it. I mean, my mom was a sixth grade teacher, and I can't imagine being in like primary school. Like, I would be fine. I mean, I cuss like a sailor on payday. On shore leave. I would be gone the first day, and then beyond, if I lasted beyond that, be out between sort of like Marxist educational philosophies and things, I would just
Yeah. I
be
mean,
gone.
yeah. Kids, I mean, like, you mentioned Me Too earlier, and it's like that interesting kind of paradigm shift where like old, stodgy, professorial types, like they have no power. And I don't know what point I'm trying to make here, but like it is interesting how like there is a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Hopefully for the better, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse. I don't know.
So I'm gonna ask you a weird question here, because I'm gonna give you my answer to it. I mean, if the book's been out, what, April 6th, I think. And you've undoubtedly done several of these. What have people found to be the scariest moment in the book to them? And I'm curious what you thought was the scariest moment.
Has anyone told me what the scariest moment is?
Oh my God, it's my obvious thing to tell you, I feel like.
Well, do you want to start? Do you want to tell me?
No, I want to hear what yours is first.
Well, I mean, the scariest thing for me is always the gray boy. I love the gray boy. That to me is like, I wish there was more gray boy in this.
At what point? I mean, when they're in the cemetery, or when he's haunting him, or
I mean, like all the gray boy stuff. Like I want the gray boy to like pop up everywhere. Like I want the like Pennywise style, like,
okay.
Like the gray boy's here. He's coming for you. Like I just want like, 1, 2, gray boy coming for you. Like, I don't know. I feel like he is the metaphor for all that is unknowable within this book. And it's
Sure.
like he's a mysterious, murky, foggy image that has no clarity. And yet he is, is it Jenna as a child? Is it Richard as a child? Is it Sean? Is it Eli? Like, I feel like the gray boy is this kind of all-encompassing phantom that kind of changes and mutates and evolves as Richard's psychosis or his, lapse into whatever you want to call it. So that's my personal favorite scary stuff.
Okay.
I don't know. Some people have mentioned that the corn maze was pretty scary.
That's your classic horror moment, I feel like.
Yeah. Everybody kind of talks about the animal stuff, which is a bummer to me. I didn't know, like, I should have known. Man, like earlier drafts, there was a lot more animal stuff because you can't talk.
But you do start off with it too. Like, it's not even like a build-up. It's a dead rabbit with its organs ceremoniously strewn about the field.
The only thing I will say in my defense, and it's not even
It didn't bother me.
I mean, like, you cannot talk about satanic rituals without animal sacrifice. Like, you can't talk about satanic panic, and you can't talk about actual satanic rituals without sacrificing animals. Like, it's just baked into the DNA of these stories. Like right now I'm watching for shits and giggles the
Another good title for shits and giggles.
shits and giggles. The
It's
what
two clowns. They go around killing people.
Oh my god, that actually is really good.
Thank you.
We can use that. Here's the thing: we're volleying back really good ideas today. So like someone should write something of something that has been
We just
expressed.
gotta do an anthology, dude.
Shits and giggles, the clown murders stories.
Yeah, the clown murders.
I totally lost my train of thought.
You're just now thinking about shits and giggles driving around killing people and screwing their guts out because then you won't get. We're talking about animal sacrifice.
Sons of Sam on
Okay.
Netflix. And there's like animal. I mean, like everybody killed cats and animals and goats and dogs and like they were all like they just were. That's just a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, once they were making pinatas, I knew
You did?
else was going to be beaten to death.
Oh man, yeah. So in a previous draft, because this is all spoiler, but anyone who's watching this has read the book.
I mean, we've already spoiled a lot. We're now just going for deep cut spoilers at this point.
I had written there's the chapter where Richard comes into his classroom and there's the burning hand.
Yeah.
It was originally written that I think it's like dolls or mannequin parts now.
Yeah.
It used to be just garbage bags full of dead pets. Like it was like,
so you had them going missing or something?
Yeah, like the whole, like there's like everything up to then was like, like every telephone pole has a missing pets.
Yeah.
They're like all the pets are going missing in this small town. And then he opens up his classroom door one morning and like all of the animals, all the pets from the neighborhood are like dead and in his classroom.
Well, because I mean, it's interesting. I thought the dolls was a good choice. I'll tell you why. It's because it reminded me like the artist Mike Kelly.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh wow, I love him.
And so it reminded me of like his art coupling with him being an art teacher and just thematically worked for me that way.
You just made my day. I love.
Oh, good.
Oh wow. That's great because he's such an influence too. He's so creepy and so weird. I write a review and publish that so that I can put it on a t-shirt. Yeah.
You can call your publisher and just quote me on the back of the Dr. Matthew Jarvis.
So yet another moment that was on the cutting room floor was just the dead animals, the dead pets. We were like, maybe 2 is enough for one book. And we were like, yeah, we probably don't want more. It was close too.
The scariest thing to me, because it works during and it works with the reveal at the end, so it just actually becomes creepier, is the video of the taping over of the Michael J. Fox show with the made-for-TV movie about his life.
Yeah.
And the reason why that works for me is because she had planned for that long to do this. you realize, and it's actually worse. It's like Fatal Attraction, right? It's just she's very systematically planning this out.
Yeah.
For a long time, like the revenge fantasy.
I mean, yes. It's funny because like I think that it's like, if you think of like, I don't know how much she was aware of what her plan was until things really started going in the, after she had her child. I'd say that's when the plan kind of shifts in earnest. But
she's collected memorabilia. Like Norma Desmond. Very weird.
There is a bit of an obsession, but like, she identifies with her trauma, and like this trauma is the key most, like it is what she feels is her foundation. So it's like, yeah, I think there's a certain collection, but it's more like raw data. It's like, this will, I don't know what, I don't think she was recording and she's like, one day I'll play this for him, but it's more the archiving of it, and then having it.
See, this was like my Mike moment for you. Like it was like the moment in audition when the bag.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it.
um,
Oh man, thank you. Yeah.
let me ask you, how this is another feet to the fire moment, provided by Shits and Giggles. How does Gina get into the room to
into the
to install her installation piece?
in the classroom?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm sure she like steals keys from some janitor.
Because she was in the school. I mean, she was there.
Yeah. I think it's a kind of yada yada moment of like, how does one break into a classroom?
Well, because you think about it post Sandy Hook and things, right? It becomes actually more frightening. I mean, you've said it before, Sandy Hook, but we as readers are post Sandy Hook.
No, it's post Sandy Hook, because there's the whole thing at the beginning of like
oh, that's right, the active shooter girls.
It's pre Pizzagate, post Sandy Hook. Those are
okay.
But like, it's I'm trying to remember. It's the night before, or no, it's the night of the parent teacher conferences, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it happens after the parent teacher conference.
Right. I'm just trying to remember if it was the morning after. It's been so long. Like,
I think it is. I think it's the morning after.
Yeah,
because he leaves really early that morning after she tells him that.
Yeah. So there's your half-assed explanation. It's like, nobody's coming to his parent-teacher conferences. She is the only person who comes to his parent-teacher conference.
Well, and he leaves right after her too.
He's like, I'm out. You could imagine like she does some sleight of hand with the door, but she's the only mother in there. So like,
all right. We'll give you a fan theory now.
You're not impressed. You're like,
No, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he probably he could have even just forgotten to lock the door because he was so thrown by what she was telling him.
I mean, Richard is such a dumbass at the end of the day that like, like he's
well, so... I'm gonna give you a fan theory that would actually explain it.
Okay. Is this your fan theory or is this someone else's?
This is mine.
Okay.
I think that Tamara and Gina are lesbians and they've plotted this.
Wow. I mean,
that's my fan theory.
That is,
and it would explain a lot more if Tamara was helping. And it would be sicker.
Yeah, it's true. You're the first to pose that to me.
So. Well, that is my theory.
I dig it.
That's my theory. Yeah, I just that was in my notes.
It would make more sense.
Well, because I mean, Tamara does. I mean, because she has those moments when Tamara's not there, right? She goes out drinking. Okay, well, that's when all the shit got set up in his room,
Yeah. It's true.
How to get access to his studio.
You're doing your Scream. This is the like there's two killers, not just one.
But like that's how it all gets set up in his studio. That's how things with Eli make it a little bit more. That's my theory.
That's amazing.
That's my theory. I'm sticking to it. That's my reading of your book.
I'll take it.
So I always give people opportunity because often they have it. Breaking news about you. Anything you want to announce to people? You're gonna go out, remember, on June 6th. So it's June 6th.
June 6th. I'm working on my next novel, and I'm in the thick
Shits and Giggles.
Shits and Giggles. God, I should change the title, but now I need to add clowns. I mean, I'm working on a new book, and that's where my head is at right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
People were anticipating this one for a while.
Were they?
Yeah. I mean, if you go, I mean, I don't want to encourage you to go online and read things because like I hate doing that, and I don't even have much. Like I don't have a fan base or anything. So
Neither do
like,
I. So
you do.
I this goes back to that hipster thing,
Yeah.
where it's like, I don't know. I feel like just I want to exist in this world where I get to write and tell stories, and I feel like for the longest time nobody really gave a shit, and Quirk, they've published 2 of my books now, and you know, it's really interesting because they're they're working hard to like be like, hey, read this guy's books. And like I feel like I really owe them this like whatever attention or whatever, like I feel like they are the ones like really kind of like pushing the needle. And you know how like it's just so weird how like if you can convince one person that you're worth their time,
Yeah.
and then they try to convince other people that you are worth their time, like that to me is like such a, I don't know. I feel like I've like spent so much of my life trying to convince people that like this is worth their
Well, I
time.
mean, I feel like it's getting a lot of attention right now. You've been on like a lot of lists too of like this is one of the top horror books to read for the year and things.
I hope so. I mean, like, I don't know. The coronavirus and quarantine has made it feel very much like I'm in a vacuum.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if the book's doing well. I don't know. I don't know what.
I think you would know if it wasn't.
Well, I mean, I think you would know if it is. I feel like there's the like, you know, you know right away if it's like this book is going to become like a bestseller or if it's going to become a thing. But then there's like the rest of us where it's like you just have to do well enough. Like I just hope it's doing well enough to make people happy that make decisions for like the next book. So
Well, I will tell you have a really good cover, and a lot of books have
Yeah.
terrible covers, and you have a very good cover.
Quirk, I mean, I'm serious. Like they really, I think they really knocked this one out of the park. I mean, say what you will about what's inside the book, but like I think the book itself, like it's like they really put a lot of thought into it. And I'm just like, damn, I just feel lucky. I feel lucky.
Good. So now I ask people some random questions. I want to ask you some random questions here. As I mentioned before, we like horror blasphemy here.
Okay.
Can you give me a horror blasphemy of yours?
I'm short-circuiting my brain. I've never seen a Serbian film.
Oh,
I don't like.
I don't recommend it.
I don't like Last House on the Left.
I'm assuming you mean either of them.
No, it's funny. Is it profane or blasphemous to say that I think I liked the remake of Last House on the Left better?
We had a scholar on say that she preferred the Rob Zombie remakes of Halloween, so you can say whatever you like.
I liked Halloween. I liked Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I didn't like it more than I liked the original Halloween 2 or the original Halloween, but I liked Halloween. I liked Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 more than I liked Rob Zombie's Halloween. I think Evil Dead 2 is better than Evil Dead.
It's just the same movie with more money.
Yeah.
I want the deer. I really want the deer. I want to have it behind me.
Oh, that would be amazing. I think David Cronenberg's best film is Dead Ringers. Or I should say my favorite.
I'm a sucker for Naked Lunch. Okay.
Naked Lunch is really good. Naked Lunch is really good. It's so hard to I don't think I have any hot takes. Like that's the thing. Like I think remakes are generally not that good. Though, I mean, everybody keeps going back to like The Thing or to what are the other ones that everyone loves? The Thing.
The remakes that people love more than the
Yeah,
I mean, The Thing is the biggest one.
that's the one. That's the like the gold standard. It's like, well,
Yeah, I think people now with the new Universal Dark Universe are liking the Invisible Man remake quite a lot.
I really loved the Lee Wanell Invisible Man. I felt like that was one that was like, we're just gonna take this concept and like go in a totally different direction with it, though.
A lot of people like the It remake, which I disagree. I beg to differ.
I thought the first one was okay. I really would have liked the Carrie, the oh my god, why am I blanking on the who is the filmmaker who was originally supposed to do it? Carrie Fukunaga.
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't care for the remake.
I think the Carrie or I'm sorry, the It remakes were, you know,
the CGI was just so bonkers.
Yeah. Which is to say you preferred the made for TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm going to always prefer Tim Curry.
Yeah. He was that directed by Mick Garris?
I don't remember, to be honest.
I
see, this is where I'm bad. Like, I should know those things. It's not in my brain.
I'm not blaspheming. I'm doing a terrible job at blaspheming.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Apart from your own stuff, of course, though, you're pretty self-deprecating, so you probably wouldn't put yourself on that list. What horror book are you looking forward to in 2021? And you're like, oh God, who can't I piss off?
Well, you know, it's funny. Like, one of my favorite books of last year, or was it the year before? I think it was last year. Was The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. Yep. God, it was an amazing book. It was an amazing book.
He's on in October, actually.
Hi, Stephen. I love that book.
You're looking forward to his new one, My Heart is a Chainsaw?
I think so.
That's what Grady picked too.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because like I've read a lot of Stephen Graham Jones books, but I have never read anything like The Only Good Indians.
No, that's truly unique.
That's an exceptional one. So like, you know, and this may be inappropriate, but like, you know, authors, I mean, Stephen Graham Jones has written a lot of books, and that one rises to the surface. So like, maybe I'm a little nervous about My Heart is a Chainsaw, because like, how can it live up to the expectation of The Only Good Indians? So it's like, it has to be its own, it has to stand on its own feet and be wildly divergent from.
I mean, with that one, I think what we have to expect too is just he has an absolute love for that genre of film.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's gotta. I think that's what's going to come through. I don't know because I haven't read it, so I'll read it in July with everyone else.
Yeah. Here it comes. It'll be here before you know it.
It will.
June 6th.
So what are you read? What are you going to read next?
I got the new George Saunders book, which is a collection of essays about writing, which is not a horror book, I understand, but I'm looking forward to that. It's so funny. I just got asked to blurb a book, so like I'm reading that book right now. The Vicious Filth. That's a book I'm really excited to read. There's been this huge anthology of ghost stories that I've been really excited to read called Echoes, which is edited by Ellen Datlow. And it's like 700 pages, and I pick it up every so often and I'll read one, but I want to read all of it, but it's a big book. I there's just too many. I don't know. Like I'm doing a bad job. I'm
No,
like,
you're fine.
no, but it's funny because it's like there's like a whole, you're making me want to know what my to be read pile is. So I'm gonna go.
We're taking a field trip now to your to read pile.
You can either edit this or not. I don't care. But like, I just want to like,
I think people will be fascinated.
what's going on? I have to go to the bookshelf to like find it because like, this is like, it's killing me because
No, I feel I have like a weird schedule written out in my scroll, and it's like,
yeah.
if I didn't have it, I wouldn't even know what I'm supposed to read next.
These are like, I want to read that. 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 I really want to read that. Got it. I say vicious filth, goddess of filth. I want to read that.
We're breaking up a little. Clay.
This is the. Uh-oh. Okay.
There we go. Now we're back.
That's my pile. That was my pile. There's just too many.
I feel you. That happens to me in particularly in October. It becomes like a book a day and not like a short book.
Yeah. There's just too many. I'm letting my to be read pile get away from me, which is really bad. But I'll keep working on it.
And in terms of films, any horror films you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to going back to a movie theater. Damn it. It's funny because it's like it's been over a year, 14 months at least. I feel like the last movie I saw was I had to take my goddamn son to see Sonic the Hedgehog, and I was like, that was the last movie I saw in a movie theater. So like I've just been jonesing, and but now there's this strange pressure of like, oh my god, what's going to be?
What will be the first?
And it's like we're fully vaccinated now, so like we could, and our local movie theater just reopened last week, and I was like, oh gosh, let's go to the movies. But then it was like all these like movies that have I have no interest to see them.
Yeah, that's my problem right now.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, so is my desire to go to the movies stronger than my desire to see a good movie? And oddly enough, the desire to see a good movie is trumping just the urge to go back. So, I think I might say the first movie that I will campaign to see in the movie theater is A Quiet Place 2, just because that feels like a movie you have to see in the movie theater to kind of like experience it the way that it was. You're not.
I just, at the point when she had the baby and didn't scream or anything, I was done.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not
and then
saying
the ending is so campy.
I mean, yes. Yes. But I mean, I don't know.
I reject you, Satan.
I don't want to see another Saw movie. I don't think. Maybe that's a little profane. That's
Well, have you seen like, because it's bifurcated.
Yeah.
Because you've got the Chris Rock, Samuel Jackson one, and then you've got one that's actually in the chronology.
Wait, are they making another one that's actually in the chronology?
Yeah. Like I said, it's split. The franchise is actually split, and I'm just like, what?
I mean, that's impressive, but I just feel like
it's the same gag over and over, and I don't understand. I like the first one.
I like the first one. I feel like it's been like those movies are hard for me. I don't know why, but like, and it's not, I mean, like torture, yeah, that's rough, but like, I don't know, the nihilism is just weird. Like I'm having a hard time with nihilism.
It's just, I mean, it's the same movie over and over again. Like I don't.
Yeah. It's like an infection. It's like you cut your finger on a rusty nail and you didn't do anything about it. And now you're just looking at it. And it's like, and it smells bad. It looks bad. It feels bad. And there's no drama to it, but you're just like, it's like, there's the infection. Yeah. Oh, it smells worse today. Like, it's like, yep.
As the gangrene sets in.
Yeah. I guess I have to cut my finger off now.
See,
Like,
another good title, As the Gangrene Sets In.
Pearls,
I
people.
know. I'm looking forward to Egger's new movie because I'm always looking forward to Egger's new movie. I feel like that's a perpetual state of being.
Is that en route or is he in production?
Yeah, it's a Viking movie.
Huh.
Supposed to be very violent.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to the new Batman as well.
Matt Reeves, right?
With Robert Pattinson as Wayne, and I'm more looking forward to it because I'm interested to see Paul Dano as the Riddler, which is my favorite DC villain. So
yeah, did they say we know that the villains are
yeah, it's the Penguin and the Riddler.
Penguin and the Riddler.
And it's
and Colin Firth or
yeah.
no, Collins,
Farrell?
whichever.
Yeah, one of the Collins.
Yeah. He plays like a
He's the
totally
Penguin. It's like the comic book. I mean, it's like the gangster version of the Penguin.
Wow.
Actually, he's in the trailer. And he's unrecognizable.
Yeah.
There's so much like weight prosthetic on him and stuff. So I'm actually looking forward to that one as a thing. But the I don't know. All the horror movies I've looked out for, they seem to be popping up on Shudder anymore. So
they are not, or they are.
They are like they're just instantly emerging.
Shudder's amazing. I feel like we're very blessed to have a streaming service like Shudder.
So I see them fairly instantly now. So I don't have to wait. Which is good because it gives me more time to read books. Instead of like pining away for a film to be released.
Oh man, when everybody starts going back to the real world, I feel like there's going to be less reading time, and that's I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
Hopefully
people picked up the habit, right?
We'll see.
So,
well, I gotta say, I really appreciate. I don't know, having an opportunity to kind of talk openly about the book, in a way that I haven't really done this deep of a dive. And I think that's just because everybody wants to be, precious about spoilers. But who cares, right?
Well, I mean, the other thing too is I recognize that COVID has made this online thing super strange, where it's replacing being at a Barnes and Noble or something and talking where you would answer some of these questions. And so I try to also compress that into it as well,
Yeah, but you did the pile of possums, so that's
pile of possums.
I
started with pile of possums too.
You did.
I started at the crest of the wave.
Let's see if anybody who's watching this right now, make a t-shirt, make a bumper sticker, do something, some meme. Let us know that you're watching this, and this will be like a proof of life moment where if you create something that says pile of possums, hashtag pile of possums, we'll know that we hit the mark, that we did.
I'm going to tell this to Juan because maybe we can make this go viral between the two of us and get Quirk in on it.
I mean,
we need a meme that's satanic looking that says pile of possums or hashtag pile of possums.
If anything has pile of possums on it, I will, that'll just make my year in ways that
I get t-shirts, man.
Someone likes a pile of possums t-shirt and then takes a picture. I want proof. I want to know that this thing exists. I will be so happy. I will eat my shoe.
Well, again, thank you so much. And thank you all for tuning in. And as always, stay spooky. Thank you for joining us on SunScream. Join us next week for Matthew Bartlett.